People weren't kidding about that Chainsaw Man movie, huh? It packs this eloquent blend of hilarity and feeling in a movie that essentially follows one of anime's biggest gooners. Like, I think that's the funniest part. But I also think it's all the better for it, right? I just got out of the theater. Literally just got out of the theater. I wanted to go over my raw thoughts. The sound design was fucking on point. Can I just say, like, the sound design was insane. First, like, 35-ish minutes is a little bit slow at the beginning, but I think overall, again, on point. The North Star of this movie, right? Like, the underlying thematic core hits deep. The movie's very clearly about love, right? Or about the love that we can have for people, and the love that often isn't shared. It's a deeper, poignant message layered at the center of this movie. I think that's it. Definitely go see it if you haven't already. Let's get into the spoilers. Obviously, at the heart of this story is love, but love of a very different variety. Love through manipulation, through heartache and pain. Tragic as it is, Denji and Reze are two peas in a pod. They're, on some small level, made for each other, yet they simply cannot be together for a variety of reasons. It's poetic, yet tragic all the same. Once more, I haven't read the manga, so my knowledge of the deeper story beats hereafter is non-existent. But I can already see the everlasting effect the Reze Arc will have on Denji's psyche. That, in and of itself, is something the movie focuses on, trauma, and how it can shape our very being, with or without our knowing. This intersection of trauma and identity is a major through point in the film, especially in relation to the dichotomy between Denji and Reze. Their characters are not only mirrored in their dark pasts, but also through their underlying wants for a somewhat normal life. Reze, deep down, hankers for a chance to go to the church, right? To date and drink coffee. Simply be. It's so beautifully depicted in the Russian hymn she sings, which is aptly written by Chainsaw Man writer himself, Tatsuki Fujimoto. As for Denji, well, Denji just wants to get laid. At 16, largely having been manipulated his whole life by everyone around him, even his own father, eating scraps and being used like a literal dog for the mafia, and now for public safety, who can blame him? Then we meet Reze, a beautiful, charming young woman born into a life of total solitude. Bred to be a super soldier by the USSR, a literal guinea pig. As I said, they're two peas in a pod. And what of their motivations, right? It's not that Denji's committed to doing good for good's sake. He's being forced to fight devils and protect Tokyo under the threat of death, which is not so dissimilar to Reze herself. Reze is thrust into a bout to take Denji's heart, ironically, or maybe not so ironically, utilizing her good looks and charm to, like practically everyone else around him, manipulate Denji into lowering his guard for her own self-gain. Both characters are being forced outside of their own bounds for indirect conquests that neither truly asked to be a part of. It's why at the tail end of the film, when Denji outright says it, despite everything that just took place, let's run away together. I mean, you just want to sit back and shed a damn tear. He hasn't learned a damn thing. And neither has Reze. Juxtaposed with Denji, Reze is not so dissimilar in her naivety. Just look at the parallels between the opening and closing shots here, highlighted by Nekamaru on Twitter. Truly sad shit. The conflict within Reze is true and awful. You can see how it tears her apart inside. It's written in her bodily expressions, particularly in the way she touches her arm in certain scenes. And when she doesn't do this action, you realize deep down that's a sign she truly means what she's doing or about to do. There's no inner conflict. Again, we see it at the very end of the film in her dash back to Denji, only she's throttled by, incidentally, one of the most manipulative forces in Denji's life. You know, I think we can all relate to Denji in a way. We've all been there, right? We've all been there before, let our guards down to shitty people we never quite knew. The saddest part is that, shit, Denji and Reze could have made one insane power couple. But as the movie presents to us in its opening act, who truly has in the palm of her hands both metaphorically and physically, in a way, Denji's heart. Makima. Like Denji and Reze are mirrored, Reze and Makima serve as parallels as well. They both shape Denji's actions in the story and, to a greater extent, fuel his entire being. That desire he so desperately craves. The theater scene is an excellent depiction of this. Makima ensures that Denji sees her cry while watching the movie, and witnessing this emotional side inevitably leads to one of the single most heartbreaking moments in the entire film. Makima stealing Denji's heart with but a single touch and a glance. It took everything in my power not to reenact the Walter White meme from Breaking Bad in the middle of the theater. No, Denji! No! Don't fall for it! Makima makes it look so casual, so simple, really. Even sadder in retrospect is the fact that it's not Makima, but Reze who inevitably shows Denji what true happiness, affection, and love should look like, or could look like. The country mouse and town mouse folktale is yet another interesting paradigm within the story, showcasing on a deeper level the duality between our main characters, particularly Reze and Denji, as well as Reze and Makima. We know Makima is the country mouse because she literally tells us, stating it in the form of a question to Reze in the final scene of the movie, explaining why she feels comforted by exterminating rats on a friend's farm. It's eloquent as much as it is terrifying, giving us a broader perspective of the underlying evil that swirls in Makima's heart. The folktale also highlights Reze's inner feelings for Denji. Despite being the country mouse, Reze turns her back on fleeing, turns her back on the potential safety and freedom written in the world outside the city. In the end, she chooses Denji. She chooses the city mouse life. Where does it lead her? Into direct danger, into the very trap laid by the cats in the alleyway. Worse still, what are Reze's final words? Her closing monologue touches on an inner quandary, one that leaves the audience breathless and most probably in tears. I wonder why I didn't kill you the first time we met. If it wasn't already heartbreaking enough, Denji likewise chooses the opposing mouse. He's a city mouse. He explains it, right? He's the city mouse for the food and lifestyle, but decides in the end to upend everything in favor of leaving with Reze for the countryside, away from the cats in the alleyway. Chainsawman Reze is a literal gut punch to the fans paying the most attention. It's as much a thrill ride in its incredible action beats as it is a mesmerizing, thought-provoking anime on the cruelty of love, heartbreak, and identity. I haven't had this much fun diving into a story like this in so long. And again, this is coming largely from an outsider. I'd probably have a far deeper connection with this movie and its characters had I read the manga in advance. Alas, it's on my to-do list. But for now, I want to pivot, taking a gander at what the director and writer had in mind for Chainsaw Man Reze Arc. It's not at all surprising to me that two legendary names in the anime sphere helmed this project. In the director's chair is Tetsuya Yoshihara, probably one of the most well-known goats when it comes to action animation and choreography. He's had an incredible stint in the industry, starting at the Actus at the ripe age of 20 back in 2008. I won't go into the deeper specifics regarding Yoshihara's background, because we'd be here all day. But there's an incredibly detailed Reddit thread on the subject posted by user Lilbird811. And I think there's a Twitter post that goes along with it. But anyway, in 2021, Yoshihara was announced as the action director for the first season of Chainsaw Man. By this point, he's made quite a name for himself already, particularly given his contributions to Black Clover, as well as key animation on Wonder Egg Priority, My Dress Up Darling, Takt Op Destiny, I believe he also worked on, and Jujutsu Kaisen, of course, we all know that, right? Then comes Reze Arc. We don't have to dive into the specifics here again, but Chainsaw Man series director Ryu Nakayama stepped down from Mappa in early 2024 to pursue building his own company, Andraft. In his stead, Nakayama left the reins of Chainsaw Man in Yoshihara's hands, which is apropos, given Yoshihara recruited Nakayama into the industry nearly 15 years prior on Tante opera Milky Holmes. Thus, Chainsaw Man Reze Arc had a lot riding on it, not just in terms of its monetary success or critical reception, but on a spiritual, creative level. To Yoshihara, it wasn't so simple a yes as you might think. As he explains to Anime News Network, I struggled with the decision, but I also saw it was a tremendous opportunity. Tremendous opportunity it most certainly was. I think Reze Arc is all the better for his input. Yoshihara aimed to inject his movie with as much of the manga as was possible, keeping true not only to the narrative, right, the narrative itself, but also its feeling and flavor. This required a few minor changes to what was already seen in Season 1, particularly, as Yoshihara says, the way characters were drawn to bring them more in line with Mr. Tatsuki Fujimoto's art style. It's why most of the characters look vastly different from the show. They have more emphasized and dense lines, and fuller saturation, with less shading. Main among them were Power and Makima, with the latter character's hair receiving a more vibrant red hue, so that it would, as Yoshihara tells it, leave a stronger impression on the viewers. These alterations are extremely noticeable when you look at Reze Arc side by side with the first season. The movie really pops, and manga fans have showered it with praise for its faithfulness to the source material. This is no different on a narrative level, thanks in large part to writer Hiroshi Seko. Seko is arguably one of the most well-known anime screenwriters in the business. If you're an anime fan on any level, you've most likely watched content he's written. Seko has an insane run of anime projects, spanning over a decade, putting pen to paper on everything from Inuyashiki to Attack on Titan. Seko is an extremely talented screenwriter. However, he's known best as the guy you call to adapt a manga into anime form. Some of his best works aren't originals, but adaptations bred with incredible detail and love for the source material, as evidenced by Mob Psycho 100, Vinland Saga, Summertime Rendering, jeez, Jujutsu Kaisen, of course, Dandadan, Dorohedoro. If you haven't already, shameless plug, go watch my video on Dorohedoro. It's a fantastic show, and it's very much slept on, honestly. Incredible tale of friendship, and Season 2 is just around the corner. But from what I could find, Seko hasn't discussed his work on Reze Arc in any interviews, but he did talk about how he's approached the writing for Season 1, for the first season. One of the most interesting tidbits from this interview with Real Sound is that he calls the Chainsawman manga cinematic, which I found interesting. He noted in the interview, it was filled with intense energy and power that kept the reader hooked once they picked it up. And when I was writing the script, I was conscious of not letting the heat of the original cool down. Despite largely adhering to the source material, Seko still adds original scenes to many of his adaptations. Chainsaw Man notwithstanding. Seko takes great care not to let these bouts of creative originality poison the finished product. In the case of Chainsaw Man, it's first and foremost Fujimoto's vision brought to life by Nakayama, and later, Yoshihara. To say Reze Arc had the dream team assembled for its creation would be an understatement. Seko and Yoshihara are the two main powerhouse names at the top of the masthead, but other notable contributions to the resounding brilliance of Reze Arc include editor Masato Yoshitake, assistant director Masato Nakazono, action director Soto Shigetsugu, main animator Shuichi, and plenty more. You can check out Manko Man's video if you want to dive deeper into the nitty-gritty of Reze Arc's animation. Shigetsugu's work on the film is a particular highlight for me. The action sequences in this film are immaculate, stunning, vibrant. It's strange because even in the fight sequences, you're moved with all kinds of emotions that amplify the experience as a whole. Denji's battle with Typhoon is a great example of this. Yoshihara says, when I asked Shigetsugu to make the Typhoon battle even more epic in scale, he delivered a breathtaking sequence with ideas 2 or 3 levels above what we had expected. Kind of crazy because that scene is crazy. These scenes are made even more impactful thanks to the incredible musical composition of Kensuke Ushio, whose subtle blend of piano, electronic elements, and synthesizers lends the movie an extra emotive layer. In 1 second, your attention is thrust from the powerful feelings shared between the main characters to the head-thumping, trance-like rave undertones that drop you right in the center of the action. It helps that the pacing is on point, too. The movie builds to its crescendo in a loving, heart-pounding way. Manga readers might know exactly what to expect, yet people like me, who only know the anime, don't have a clue what's in store. Despite these varying degrees of expectation, Reze Arc still delivers, making both parties feel right at home and satisfied, keeping viewers glued to their seats with some of the most tantalizing action in the industry. Much like the narrative itself largely focuses on love in many forms, you can see by way of its creation the love and care imbued into it. It's one of those rare, full circle moments that makes you stop and appreciate anime so much. Given the time consumed and love spilled in getting this across the finish line in such a complete and compelling package. Even Yoshihara agrees, saying every staff member poured their hearts into Chainsaw Man, and that shows. Reze Arc might not reach Demon Hunter numbers, but it's on track to make a shitload of money. At the time of writing, it's already crossed $158 million worldwide, making it the 18th grossing Japanese film on a budget of 600 million yen, around 4 million, I think, $4 million. That's pretty damn remarkable, but deserved all the same. I can literally talk about Chainsaw Man Reze Arc for days. It's an electrifying thrill ride, and while I knew it was going to be totally fantastic, it still threw me for a loop, and how utterly profound it was. There's a rich, emotionally poignant message hiding within, and only the attentive among us will leave the theater knowing more, not just about the narrative and its characters, but also gain a deeper perspective of themselves. I couldn't find a good place for this in the video, but I wanted to leave you all with this fantastic quote by Hiroshi Seko. Instead of getting bogged down in the smallest of things, maybe it's okay to let your head go a little while following the law, of course, and live the way you want to. I hope that watching this work will make people think at least a little of that. And I think that being exposed to good works, not just anime, gives you courage. And I myself have been saved in that way. So I would be happy if watching this work gives people even a little courage. Great. Isn't that wonderful? If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tell me in the comments, are you a city mouse or a country mouse? As someone who's lived on both sides, tough for me to say. Probably a country mouse. Well, actually, no, I'm probably a city mouse. It depends on my mood. Definitely depends on my mood. Anyways, thanks for watching. And as always, don't drown out there. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.